Thank you for being here. I'd like to call to order the Maricopa City Council regular meeting on Wednesday, November 5th, 2014. At this time, if you'd all stand, we'd like to have Reverend Arnold Jackson, who's going to pray for us tonight from Mount Moriah Community Church. Afterwards, the Vice Mayor will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. O God, our help in ages past and our hope for years to come, we invite your presence this evening into the City Council chambers. We recognize and realize that it's over the campaigning that last night there was some good news for some and others less good. But in the midst of it all, God, we pray that you would guide the deliberations in the City Council meeting, that you would move forward and lead us in the way that we should go. We ask that your blessings be upon the mayor, as well as City Council, as well as the city manager and the entire City of Maricopa staff. Guide us and lead us and in the way that we should go. We thank you for everything. All these things we ask in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Can we move to a roll call, please? Thank you, Reverend Jackson.
Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Chapados? Here. Councilmember Frank?
Here.
Councilwoman Gussie? Here. Councilmember Kimball? Vice Mayor Farrell? Here. Mayor Price?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. That takes us on to the proclamations and acknowledgments awards. We don't have any at this time, so that'll take us through on into the report from the mayor. At this time, a few things. Wanted to let you all know of what is taking place. This Saturday, we have a GAIN event, which is getting basically getting active in neighborhoods, and we really want people to show up to these various parties, Maricopa Meadows, Tortosa. It's a great and wonderful opportunity in which people can get to know their police chief and other members of the public safety arena, as well as many of the council members, and so we would encourage you to participate in that. I also wanted to let you know of some good news that took place this past week. I'm happy to report that, as you know, that on this previous meeting we had a discussion pretty much entirely on the 347, the overpass, the Amtrak station, kind of the odds and options that we have to move things. But at the end of the day, I wanted to report that for what it's worth to you all, it's a huge hurdle for us that we've overcome, is that this past week we received the good news that we have received a signing of the draft EA, which is the environmental assessment. That EA, by being signed, even though it's a draft, it moves us towards the ability to move towards the public meeting. So as it stands right now, we have December 3rd slated for that public meeting, at which point ADOT and FHWA and the city will come together and host a meeting in which you'll all be invited to come and participate and see the options that they have narrowed it down to, as well as give public comment and open up that 30-day public comment period for your discussions and your thoughts on why any given selection is best. I think they will also at that time go forward and discuss why they feel that of the three there is one that rises above the others. So that being said, that is a really, really good news. It's not the signing of the final EA yet, that's still to come, but it is a huge hurdle in the process, and we just can't get to the final if you don't get to this step first. So that's a big deal. Also wanted to let you all know that we have also received a grant from the Gila River Indian community as part of their state shared revenue. As you know, that the agreement that many of the tribes have, or all of the tribes have to some extent, with the state of Arizona, is that of their gaming revenue, they've committed to give 12% back. It can be submitted in the form of grants, and we submitted a grant through our grant writer, Mary Wachowski, and the police department. And one of the things that we have in our CIP and we're working towards is what is known as a Regional Emergency Operations Center and Training Facility. And so that was a $1 million grant. We were not granted the full $1 million, but we were granted $500,000. And so that is going to come over the next couple of years. So that $500,000 is certainly helpful and needed in order to build this sucker, and so we really appreciate it and are very grateful for the Gila River Indian community for their partnership with us in that. So I just wanted to let you all know that that was taking place. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to just touch on was that we are going to have a special council meeting on the 24th of this month of November. Obviously, we canceled the meeting on the 18th, I believe it was, because we'll be in Austin for the National League of Cities and Towns Conference. But we do need to have a meeting for what many of you, I think, will be excited to find is the final day in which we canvass the votes. So obviously, we moved this meeting to tonight because last night was an election night. And so at this point, although the votes are not fully counted, there are roughly 25 to 30,000 votes, early ballots, provisionals, other things that are still not counted. That is the number from Pinal County to our city clerk. And so there's still technically anybody's game. And so I just wanted to say that. However, the results that we show as of right now from a council perspective is that at this moment, without it being official, Vince Manfredi, Henry Wade, and Nancy Smith, if all things hold and stay the same, will be the next council members of the city of Maricopa. So congratulations. Again, we will make that official once the vote is canvassed on the 24th at that special meeting, so we encourage you to participate. So that is the report from the mayor at this time, and I will move it over to the report from the city manager.
Honorable Mayor and council members, our economic development department was recently the recipient of an award, and Economic Development Director Micah Miranda is going to get up and talk with you a little bit about it.
Morning. It feels like it's been that long. Oh, I know. Good evening, let's try that.
It was tough getting that award, let me tell you.
Yeah. Excuse me. Last year, as you may remember, as part of the city's annual Shop Local campaign, we initiated a free chief stall from City Hall event, which was designed to encourage local awareness of the importance of shopping local. At a council meeting, Chief Stahl was arrested for violating his pledge to shop local. And as such, council set his bail. And the city of Maricopa residents really responded to the challenge and raised nearly $300,000 in local sales receipts, which freed Chief from City Hall, I guess. That event was well recognized by the International Economic Development Council, which is a international board of the economic development professionals. And they presented us an award. It was a gold level award that went to just a handful of cities. They thought so highly of the campaign and the work our community and our volunteers did that they invited us to come and speak on the campaign at one of their luncheons. So we were one of 4 panelists during the luncheon that spoke about what we're doing to improve our local economic development efforts out of 750. And really, the reason why, in my opinion, we were selected is because we had a tremendous amount of community support, community involvement, and a lot of efforts went into receiving this award. So I thank council. I really especially like to thank the police volunteers. Obviously, Chief Stahl was a good sport, so thank you, Chief Stahl. Marketing communications put in a ton of work as well, and Judd and Officer Kuzer also had a tremendous amount of involvement. So there was a lot of people involved, a lot of businesses involved, and so I'll present this to Mayor on the city's behalf.
No additional items to report, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. That'll take us to the call to the public. At this time, I have a speaker card for you, Scott, for 9.1 if you want to speak on that. But if you'd like to come at this time to call the public, you may do so. And remember to keep your comments brief to 3 minutes, and there's a timer up there to help you with that. I'm sorry? No, I just said, Scott, I just, from a way of redundancy, Scott, you've asked to speak on this item 9.1. I'll make sure that you get the opportunity to speak at that when we get to it. So, anyone else? Okay. Seeing no one at this time, let's call the public. That'll move on to the minutes. We can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the 21st of October. That's minutes 7.1 and 7.2. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. That takes us to the consent agenda. We need to pull 9.1 from the consent agenda as was requested officially in the work session. And so that will be the first item on our regular agenda. So can I have a motion to approve items 9.2 to 9.5 on the consent agenda, please? Motion, second. Is there any further discussions on the item? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. That takes us to item 9.1. 9.1 is the mayor and city council to discuss and possibly take action on approving recommendations made by the Transportation Advisory Committee regarding the East-West Parkway Corridor Study. This is for discussion and action. Before we launch into that, though, a couple of things. We will have staff come and talk to us, and then we'll invite Mr. Cole to come up and address us. And before we move to Mr. Cole, I do have another letter that was sent to us that was asked to be read into the record, and so I will do that in between David and Mr. Cole.
Good evening, Mayor Price, council members, ladies and gentlemen. As I understand, you have a letter from Mr. Cole before you, and in the letter, Mr. Cole is asking to have depictions of the Val Vista Parkway and the Anderson Conceptual Planning Corridor Parkways removed from any maps that exist with those depictions. And the justification that Mr. Cole has provided was that as he sits down with a potential buyer for his property, a buyer is necessarily deterred once they see that there's parkways that are planned through that area. And the first thing I'd like to point out to you, the mayor and the council, is that the Anderson and the Val Vista Parkways are planning corridors only. They have not been through the environmental process. They are not actually not part of the East-West Corridor Study. They appear on the same maps as a matter of historical record because MAG had initially, in 2009 final report, depicted a framework study map which was intended to show regional connectivity throughout the region. For that reason, and that corridor map was created in part by the RISRAM study, which the council at that time in Maricopa approved. And so those two corridors have not been fully studied, they've not been fully vetted, and for that reason, there is no specific alignment created or shown anywhere for those two parkways. They are simply planning corridors. We had invited Mr. Cole before our July 22nd special TAC meeting, and he did show faithfully, and he presented his ideas and his comments and concerns with the parkways, but they were somewhat misplaced in that they were, the July 22nd special TAC meeting was specifically for the East-West Corridor Study to approve, to consider, and for the TAC to approve recommendations to come to your council, specifically in regard to the interchange at White and Parker Interchange and the specific alignment between Avalea and SR 347. So to summarize that, the Val Vista and Anderson Parkways, those are planning corridors only. They are not part of the East-West Corridor Study, and for that reason, we can't recommend a specific alignment. The flip side of that is that we can't really remove those depictions from maps For one reason, the maps are created by MAG, CAG, Pinal County. We don't have a jurisdiction to unilaterally take them off of our study maps. And it could potentially cause a problem for the city down the road, because if you've got a potential buyer for that property that sees a map that's clear of any kind of roadways, that's not a fair depiction of what that property is going to be necessarily in the future. We don't know that it will have parkways through it. We don't know that it won't have parkways. We just know that we need to study those and develop the whatever merits those parkways have. We'd like to acknowledge Mr. Cole's concern that a potential buyer would see the depictions of those two parkway corridors on a map, and they might be deterred from buying once they see those. I kind of liken it to, in the old days, watching TV and seeing a simulation of the Apollo 13 spacecraft going through space is shown on TV, and seeing the family at home saying, "Look, there they go." It's a rough simulation of that. I mean, it has no basis in reality, but for the average person, that might represent reality to them. So I do acknowledge that a potential buyer may think that those are there, but we did offer to sit down with Mr. Cole's potential buyers at any time and fully talk through what the planning corridors really represent. And with that, I'm open to council questions.
Thank you. Questions, council, this time? Okay, I don't see any. Stay close. I'm sure they will come up.
Okay.
Mr. Cole, if you'd like to come up, and while you're doing so, I'm going to go ahead and read the letter that we received and asked to be read into the record, and then we'll have you speak. This is addressed to David. It's from Seth Keeler from W Holdings. It says, please read this letter of opposition to City Council tonight regarding the proposed east-west corridor as it relates to our property at 347 across the street from Harrah's Casino. It gives a list of APN 510-73-001K and 510-73-001L. I've also spoken with Property Reserve, Inc., our neighbors to the east, and they are concerned about the proposed realignment because of the negative impact to their property. We have expressed major concerns with this proposal to staff repeatedly. We have an approved PAD, see Avalea PAD, and development agreement, see Vestar Pre-Annexation Development Agreement 2006-076047 on our property, and do not want the road split up. It says to split up our development plan. We are not just an agricultural property without development rights. We do not want the negative impact of the bisected properties that become hard to develop due to triangular-shaped parcels and vehicular access restraints. We do not want to bear the financial burden of extra roadway costs that can fall onto the property owner because both sides of this massive roadway would split the property. Staff's proposed option B is not good for us at all. Again, signed, thank you, Seth Keeler, W Holdings. So that would be considered read into the record. And Mr. Cole, time is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Price and council members. I'm Scott Cole. I represent Hartman Ranch, which is a master plan community in the city, on the east end of the city, within the city limits, and Santa Cruz Ranch, which is contiguous to the city boundaries, just south of Hartman Ranch on Anderson Road. It's currently in the county, but it is in the city's planning area. I'm here to address two items related to the TAC committee recommendations and the East-West Corridor study. I read the staff narrative for this item and noted that it mentioned only two areas of concern. It discussed the parkway going from I-10 to the other end of town, and one could read it to say that there's only two areas of concerns in the whole area. There's been some discussions as far as which roads are part of which studies and which things, and in the real world, you look at the map and the roads are going east-west and they all connect to each other. And so whether my concerns technically deal with what's on the agenda tonight or not, my greater point will be it's something that needs to be addressed, and I would like council's help in forwarding this along, whether it's at council or kicked back to the TAC committee or staff, so that we can address these two issues that I'm going to describe. It's in the memo, so I'll try and be brief, and I can elaborate if necessary. Several months ago, I attended the last TAC meeting, and I brought up two concerns on the west side of town. Nothing to do with the two issues that the TAC committee voted on much further to the west that you're dealing with tonight. They're at Anderson and Peters and Knoll, and Anderson and Val Vista. They're really two different issues, even though they're very close to each other. The TAC committee, when I brought this up, directed staff to engage with the property owners who were affected by this, but we haven't seen any progress. Nothing's been decided or essentially done, and I didn't want to miss this opportunity to bring the subject up and risk that I didn't show up and talk, and so everybody thinks there was no problem. On the Peters and Knoll issue, there is a route on the maps that show a parkway going north on Anderson, hitting Peters and Knoll, and heading west. And many people I've spoken to, that route was put on the map as a fail-safe in case the negotiations regarding the Maricopa-Casa Grande Highway that traverses the Auction Indian community land, if an agreement could not be reached there to expand or widen the road, there needed to be an alternate route. It's my understanding that the community, the city, and the county are all on the same page, and that route is therefore no longer necessary. The other routes are heading south of the Maricopa-Casa Grande Highway along Anderson. There's a planned parkway on the map going south through the middle of the Santa Cruz Ranch master plan in the county, but within the city planning area. And another parkway, Val Vista, going east-west. That parkway potentially cuts the master plan into quarters with 200-foot unexpected, unplanned, limited access parkways. It's going to cut the master plan potentially in quarters, or at least in half. You can't get from one park to another. You can't get from here to there. You can't get from one retail center to the other one without taking a very circuitous route. And having two 200-foot limited access parkways requires a complete redo of all the zoning, all the entitlements, a complete redo of a $12 million flood control project that has a CLOMAR and likely will need to go through another CLOMAR process. One of the parkways goes right over the top of a mile of the most important part of the flood control project. On both the properties, it's more than, it's a line on the map, it may never happen, it's no big deal. It's more than buyers. I'm trying to bring economic development to the city, spending large amounts of time and large amounts of money for entitlements. Hartman Ranch is fully entitled. Well, it's got zoning and a PAD with the city, and Santa Cruz Ranch has the same with the county. And as long as those lines are in the map or anywhere close to the properties, I have to plan for them. I've got to move my $12 million flood control project and start over with the federal government because it might end up right on top of what was planned 8 years ago and approved. Otherwise, the property it's not, somebody's going to drive by and it's not saleable. It destroys its developability. The uncertainty of this. No retail customer is going to go. We have 4 commercial corners, which we hope will be major economic drivers of that area on Santa Cruz Ranch. They're not going to go from Starbucks to Safeway on this circuitous, limited access route with people going 60 miles an hour on parkways right through the middle of our project. Most importantly, we have an agreement with the county that was given many, many months ago to city staff that prohibits any roadways, the county asking for any roadways or requiring any roadways other than what's in the agreement. In other words, it's illegal or a breach of contract for the county to even ask for those parkways. And so the reason I bring that up is there is no possibility that those parkways can go on the property. And on Hartman Ranch, that route is no longer necessary because the deal's been done on the main highway where everybody wants the east-west corridor to go. So both of these lines on the map cause major, major problems for somebody trying to develop a property. And one is unnecessary, and the other can't legally be done. And so the purpose of being here is on one property we're in the city, and so the city has the power to at least recommend to its regional partners, Casa Grande and the county, that it be eliminated. Perhaps the line can't disappear from the map, but an asterisk can be put on it that says, at a minimum, the city of Maricopa has recommended that this route not be effective. So again, due to the technical issues, ideally I would like council to make a recommendation to eliminate those routes or to asterisk the maps. If that's not possible tonight or further discussion is necessary, then I would ask that this issue be brought back to the TAC committee or staff or both, and we get together and solve this issue and bring it back to council. My concern is that if I didn't address it tonight, I don't know how I could address it, because if it isn't brought up, I have no power to bring it up. And if it isn't brought up, then it'll never be dealt with, and those projects will be partially dead in the water until it's solved. And one of the properties, Santa Cruz Ranch, has been the subject of years of negotiation with the city on annexation. And if we can't come together on this issue, then the odds of that annexation happening are very limited, and that could prevent the city from accessing its planning area. So again, even if tonight's meeting is not technically the proper forum for this, It's an issue that I'm asking council to provide some direction to whomever so that we can get to the finish line on this and get something done.
Let's have Mr. David Maestas start to give us some counterpoints to that as well, and then let's have council ask some questions. I know that I have some, so thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Mayor Price, council members, everything that I will bring up in my comments is with the greatest respect to Mr. Cole, but I'll start with the development agreement with Pinal County. There is an existing development agreement with Pinal County, but I have an email from the county manager, Pinal County manager, stating that the arrangement with that DA and the intention was for that development agreement to be revoked upon annexation, because at that point, the county would not have jurisdiction within Maricopa city limits. I've got that email. I can forward it to you. In terms of the alternative route, Mr. Cole mentioned the parkway continuing north, the Anderson Parkway continuing north of Maricopa Grand Highway. That is incorrect. There are no plans to continue anywhere north of the Maricopa Casa Grande Highway. Again, I reinforce that these are planning corridors only. They have not been through any kind of environmental process. They exist on the maps solely because they are part of regional connectivity depictions, and they are commonly accepted by MAG, Maricopa Association of Governments, the CAG, Central Arizona Governments, and Pinal County as well. What Mr. Cole is asking us to do is to remove these depictions from the map, which ultimately might be the right move, but that would be the right move only after these parkway corridors have been fully studied and vetted, both through the environmental process, through the process of vetting to the public with interaction with development. And if what Mr. Cole's, if his assertions are true that it's going to require millions and millions to go over the floodplain, that's going to be borne out in the study. And that study, by the way, is one that we'll be presenting to council in December 2nd, for approval to begin the corridor assessment of those two planning corridors, which is the Anderson Parkway and the Val Vista Parkway. So if his assertions are true, we'll find that out during the course of that study. If they're not true, then it might look like those corridors are, in fact, to that point, worthy of further investigation.
Council, I have some questions, but one or two of them is of a sensitive nature, and I would feel more comfortable if there would be some support to move to an E-session on this item, so that we can ask some of those more sensitive questions from a legal perspective.
I would support that, Mr. Mayor. Totally support that.
So, can I have a motion? I'll make the motion to move to E-session. Can I have a second? Second. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We'll re-adjourn here in a few minutes.
9.1 of it?
Yeah.
Until the election's over.
You can tell that by
All the candidates are not here now. See you all in 2 years.
You'll see in a minute. Okay, let's get restarted here. Thank you all for sticking it out. You're all crazy. We're thankful you're here, but we're going to be crazy together. So with that, that takes us back to 9.1. Apologize for the e-session that we needed on this. I think there's just additional clarification that council needed. But with that, I think that council is in a position to need further information. So I personally would like to motion that we table this item for now, pending additional staff review, more information to be brought back, and then addressed to council to further enlighten us on all the different variances that go along with this. So that's a motion. If there's a second.
So moved.
Have a second. Is there any further discussion on this item at this time? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll take it to that point and we'll table 9.1 at this time. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Scott. Okay, that takes us to 10.1. The mayor and city council shall discuss appointing additional citizens to the 2040 Vision Steering Committee. It says that I'm to announce, but I'm going to turn it over to Vice Mayor Farrell. You had 2 appointments at this time?
Yes, I do, Mayor. I would like to nominate Ed Visor and Rich Veritello.
Vidiello. Vidiello. Rich Vidiello.
Vidiella.
Still messing up. Try it again.
Hey, Mayor, I'm going to nominate Rich.
Good enough. Rich V. All right. So we have Rich V on the committee and an advisor. And then I, too, am adding 2 additional folks. At this point, I would like to nominate for this in less than a month, Vice Mayor Farrell to be on this committee, as well as Rachel LaFall. So now we do have a candidate that will probably be coming off of that committee. And so, Dan, you had a recommendation as well.
Yeah, so pending some of the election results here, we wanted to go ahead and appoint a backup, if you will. So I'm going to appoint Howard Cohen.
Perfect. Okay. That takes care of that. Any additional questions at this time on the issue? All right. That takes us to item 10.2. We're going to go through the resolutions. The Mayor and City Council declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the City Clerk entitled Chapter 16, City of Maricopa Zoning Code of the Maricopa City Code relating to the enforcement and administration of zoning laws, related laws and regulations within the City of Maricopa, and the amending City Code by eliminating Chapter 16 and all amendments thereto of the previously adopted City Code and replacing the previously adopted provisions with Articles 101 through 602. This is for discussion and action. Bob, do you have anything for us, sir?
I hope my track record improves after the last item. First of all, I know that items 10.2, 10.6 are all interrelated, but first, this all applies to the zoning code rewrite. I'd first like to, I know we invited the task force members. Could the task force members please stand and be recognized? I recall when I first got here, I mean, we just kicked off the zoning code rewrite just before I came to the city on an interim basis. And I remember the time frame. We were supposed to be finished by April of 2014. We're just starting November, and we are past our anticipated schedule completion. However, I believe because of the nature of this document, going from an old zoning ordinance that really didn't relate that well to Maricopa, or at least Maricopa in the future. You're now going to a more dynamic zoning ordinance that it's something that Maricopa can be proud of in the future. I was even just contacted recently this week by the planning director from the city of Marana wanting pointers from us because what they're seeing is something that they feel is a model for other municipalities throughout the state. So the task force and our consultants need to be commended. Dana Burkhart, Dana had a conflict, couldn't be here tonight. That's why I'm here presenting this. And Dana should be commended for sticking to this and being the central point throughout the entire process. But anyway, you've heard the presentation and summary of the zoning code rewrite in the work session on October 21st, and then I had the public hearing afterwards. At that point, there was no public comment. We still have not received any negative comments on the ordinance to this date, or the rewrite to this date. All statutory requirements have been fulfilled at this time, and what tonight you may consider adopting the ordinance along with the related guidelines that go along with it is in all these different items. The only thing I do want to say, and I don't know if you want to take them all together, but I do want, there's one particular thing I want to mention on the item for the ordinance. So if the council would like to vote on the resolution first, then I can at least just make a short comment on 10.3.
Okay. Council, questions, concerns? Councilman Chapados?
Mr. Mayor, I also want to acknowledge staff and all the people from the community that contributed to this process. It was long, but like Mr. Goodhue said, it was well worth the effort, and it's with great pleasure that I move to approve Resolution 14-36.
So we have a motion on the table. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the item? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Bob?
Okay, on the ordinance, there's a portion of your action that will allow the Development Services Director to take editorial, correct Scrivener errors, so to speak. And Scrivener errors, just so that everybody's aware of it, Scrivener errors it changes that basically will not change the substance of the code. One we just discovered today, and give you for instance, in our wireless communication facilities design guidelines, it references the current City of Maricopa zoning code. It needs to reference the new zoning code rewrite. So that's the type of thing that we'll be doing in changing some of the references because they won't be consistent with the new code wording that we have at this point.
Perfect. Okay. This takes us to ordinance 14-12. Bear with me, I need to read all this again. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Maricopa, Arizona, adopting Chapter 16, City of Maricopa Zoning Code by references Articles 101 through 602 of Chapter 16 of the Maricopa City Code and repealing all previously adopted provisions of Chapter 16 of the Maricopa City Code, authorizing the Development Services Director to make administrative corrections to Scrivener's errors as identified from time to time and providing for severability and the effective date thereof. So with that, can I have a motion to approve, please? Have a motion. Is there a second? Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, can we have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Farrell? Yes. Councilmember Brown? Yes. Councilwoman Gussie? Yes. Councilmember Chapados? Yes. Councilmember Frank? Yes. Mayor Price?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to item 10.4. This is the resolution of the Mayor and City Council approving and adopting single-family residential design guidelines for the City of Maricopa. So again, they're all interrelated. Does anyone have any concerns or questions? If not, can we have a motion to approve? Motion, second. All All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.5, this is the resolution approving and adopting revised Heritage District guidelines for the city of Maricopa. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? So moved. Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.6, this is for the approving and adopting the wireless communication facilities design standards. And any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to 10.7, which is now the mayor and city councilors to discuss and possibly take action on approving a contract for the purchase of software as a service from Paladin Data Systems Corporation for their SmartGov electronic permitting and plan review system. So I'm very excited about this. Take it away.
Hopefully I'll be 2 for 3 tonight, so I'll appreciate that. Before I get into the nuts and bolts of this thing, I want to take you back 8 years. 8 years, I was sitting in my office, received a phone call from a reporter of a national engineering construction publication. And he said, Mr. Goodhue, I want to hear from you what your perception or what do you feel regulatory plan review, what's the future of regulatory plan review? What steps is it going to take? Well, at that time, we were dabbling with digitizing information. We were scanning single-page documents for our records retention. We were also dabbling with small screens and looking at maybe electronic plan review at that time, but it was very cumbersome. 15 to 20-inch screens, it was hard to see a full set of plans on that. Then also I saw a couple of futuristic movies, and so I just kind of thought, and it took me 15 minutes. I had a conversation with the reporter for 15 minutes. He said, thank you, Mr. Goodhue. In a couple months, this is going to come out in our publication. So 2 months later, publication's on my desk. I open it up. I go to the article, and I go, Bob Goodhue. I said, okay, this is kind of cool. Name's in a national publication. And what I told them, they said everything I told them. I said, envision a paperless environment where a customer will submit an electronic application along with an electronic file of building plans, and then pays with a credit card and submits their application. That application then gets forwarded on to plan review staff, where they will have large screens that'll represent a full-size sheet of paper. During the review process, that individual will be able, with a touch screen, with their finger, page through electronic files like they would normally on a regular paper set of plans. They would also be able to, with a stylus, do writer recognition, write notes on there, hit a button, and through writer recognition, you'd have typed notes on there. They'd be able to import. They'd be able to import code sections if they want, put them all on the plans. And then these reviews would be reviewed concurrently through all the disciplines. You have building safety, engineering, planning, fire. Review them all at the same time. No more taking a set of plans, carrying them from one desk to one desk to one desk, and taking days and weeks for this to occur. Then at the end, you push a button, and it generates a plan review document with all the plan reviewer's comments, goes back to the customer electronically. The customer then resolves the issues, pays for the permit by credit card, and then can request their inspections online. And then the inspectors come out in the job sites with a tablet, and on that tablet they can key in their inspection results. At that time, they could then, depending on the printer, they could actually print a piece of paper out on the job site and tack it on the job site from their portable printer. But also, more importantly, the information would be logged into the system and on real time, and so within seconds, the developer, customer, whoever we're dealing with would be able to access those comments right online, real time, rather than waiting and calling, says, how did my job go type of thing. And so at that point, I was real happy that they got it right. And then the reporter added their comment. He said, "Thank you, Mr. Goodhue. Now back to earth." And we're talking to Mr. blah, blah, blah from the city of blah, blah, blah. And he's talking about expediting plans, cutting down plan review time. And at that point, I wadded up the newspaper, the magazine, and threw it in the garbage can. And I said, "That's what we're doing right now, but what are we doing in the future?" Now, 7 years later, 1 year ago, we went through an interview process for our development manager. The successful candidate, one of the reasons why I was interested in the successful candidate is because he was instrumental in placing Bend, Oregon as the first municipality converting to a paperless process. That interested me. Within a week of him being here in Maricopa, he came to me and says, "You want to do electronic plan review?" And I said, "Sure, if it works in the budget." So then we put together, through his research and spearheading the process, we put together a proposed budget, and I'd like to thank the mayor and city council for approving that budget item because it's a very exciting proposition for us, not only for us, but for customers. The developers are saving thousands of dollars on their submittals, just on a model home, just on a set of plans, the amount of money it costs to make those plans and then to transport them back and forth. I mean, when we tell the developers that we're going this way, they're saying, "Don't tell me that you're doing it. When is it going to happen?" So through the bidding and procurement process, we've come to you with a contract of a vendor, Paladin, and they partnered with ePlan Soft to provide Maricopa. And what Robert Mathias has told me is that we'll be the first fully integrated plan review and electronic plan review and permitting system in the nation.
That's awesome.
And there is, like, to be fully integrated, that means it's going to be seamless to the customer. Right now, you have people who have existing permitting systems, and then they have to get a plan review system, do workarounds and that type of thing. And it's not as seamless as you think. This is going to be a seamless type of operation system. Also, it very closely, probably within 95%, matches my vision, which was 8 years ago. But it will also, I believe it's going to be like the third generation of plan review software. So this way, it'll create an easier method of customers submitting information to us. It'll be easier for them, and it'll be easier for us to respond. So we do have some work to do. We're hoping by sometime in June, this thing will be up and running, fully operational. And right now, we're researching the different types of tablets that the inspectors will carry on the job site. We do have large screens in our in development services. You can take a look at our 32-inch screens, and right now we have what they call a sandbox. We're by the prospective vendor. They're allowing us to test out their software, permitting software right now, so we get used to it, so that training will be much easier for us come first of the year.
Thank you very much, Bob. One quick question or statement. I remember when Robert came on board and we sat through a 3 or 4 hour presentation on this and we talked about it. One of the things I think I distinctly remember from probably from my side of things is a little overly simplistic to what you experience every day, but I think that from one of the things that we hear as mayor and council, from a constituency standpoint, is how many times that, this person said that they're doing it, or that person said that they're working on this. And as I understand it, that, this system is fully auditable. So, if I input something into the system, it can go back and be tracked and say, this got put into the system on this date. And if I didn't put it into the system and I came in late last night at midnight and tried to squeak it in there, I can go back and audit that and see that it didn't go in when it was said to have gone in. It went in last night, or it got changed last night. Is that a true statement? Am I on track there that it is fully auditable?
Mayor Price, it's completely auditable. And the process you're talking about is not unusual with permit tracking systems, even the ones I'm used to. We knew exactly when somebody contacted us exactly when they made application. So yes, this system will do that.
Fully tracked, and I think I'm very excited about that. So anyways, any other questions on this item? No, is there a motion to approve this item? Have a motion, is there a second?
Second?
And a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Item 10.8, we're going to review and discuss, possibly take action to approve the site plan on review case SPR 14-04 Auto Outlet. Kazi.
Yeah, good evening, Honorable Mayor, Member of Council. In the interest of time, I'll try to keep it very brief. This item is on your agenda for review and approval of a site plan, case number SPR 14-4 for an auto outlet. Its site is located at John Wayne Parkway on the west side, right next to Great Western Bank. On the north side, it's approximately 12,000 square feet. Gentleman by name of Mr. Roman Biklov is the applicant. He is here in the audience. It's a entrepreneurial job. That site was left unkempt for 6-7 years. We have had several users out there. Just down the street where the current Shell Auto Lube is, there used to be a Jones Auto out there way back in 2005-06. They were there for a few years. So that type of use in that area is quite consistent with what was there previously. Mr. Beklov has spent considerable time and resources to provide the city with the right type of engineering documents that was not possible previously with other owners of the property. And he has agreed per our site plan design standard to provide a site plan, some landscaping requirement, and elevation plans also. So he's going to bring it up to standard. It meets our current code. Also, the Heritage District Committee has approved the plan, so did Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. One other thing that has a little problem here, Mayor, currently is that our fire department is requiring 20 feet access on that main drive that comes from the outer road. That is currently about 15 feet, and he is ready to pretty much open up the store because this tonight is their final site plan review from the council if council gives approval. What is happening is that if he has to go through the ADOT process right there, I mean, from what I understand, he told me it might be 6 months to 1 year time, and he's having constant consultation with ADOT, back and forth the email, trying to find out they want to put like, I don't know, $1 to $5 million insurance to hire a contractor or something like that. And it's such a small project, and he's ready to move forward, but there's a stipulation that was put in place on on page number 3, I believe, in the staff report, page number 2, which says that prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy, the applicant shall provide minimum of 20 feet driveway constructed at ADOT approved standard. I talked to the fire department. We had a meeting last week where the fire department had agreed that for right now, just immediately inside the main driveway, if he expands that little ramp out there to 20 feet, which he's willing to do it, the fire department will be able to work with him to meet emergency necessities. However, as long as he's working with ADOT in the next 6 months, 5 months to get the final approval and then bring it up to code. So from staff's recommendation would be to council to provide some flexibility if it's your desire, so that he could open the door, not wait till when ADOT comes and approves that site plan for the, the access for 20 feet. With that, Mayor and Council, I'm open for any question you may have.
Questions, Council? Yes, Councilwoman Gussie.
What are their hours of operation? I don't recall seeing that. I'm just wondering, also, I didn't see a picture. Is there a bathroom in this location?
Pardon?
Is there a bathroom in the location?
I will have the applicant come in and speak to that, please.
Okay.
The hours of operation, I wasn't sure.
And
Please introduce your name and address.
Good evening, Mayor Price, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Roman Bilkov. I'm the applicant and owner of the lot located at 1988 North John Wayne Parkway.
And my question was, what are the hours of operation, and is there a bathroom located on the site?
Thank you for asking. Yes, there is a bathroom there and it's fully operable. I also checked the septic tank for its condition, and it's also fully operable. Apologies. The hours of operation will be Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday from 9 to 5.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Other questions, council? Yes, Councilmember Frank and then Vice Mayor Farrell.
It looks like you're increasing the paved area quite a bit. And I think I saw in there that part of the approval is to get the approved grading and drainage plan. Is that correct?
Thank you for asking. Yes, there was a lot of effort put into designing the engineering and architectural plans to meet the 100-year flood, and we're still working on it, and we're almost there. We're getting close to meet the standard.
Okay, so beyond the 100-year flood, though, you're working with engineering for the approved grading and drainage. Because I didn't see that in the package, just the site plan.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Frank, the Pinal County Flood Control District has approved gave them a flood permit for that process. So they have an approved permit from the county. And they're working with the city engineer. Before they finish their construction drawing, all the plans have to be approved before we offer them any certificate of occupancy.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Farrell.
Quick question for Kazi. Kazi, does the parking spaces in this project meet the requirements under the CBT zoning?
Mayor, Vice Mayor Farrell, that's a good question. We do, currently it does, and also we took in consideration the future zoning code application. If you look in your second page of your report out there, there's a flexibility built in there. Currently, the parking required is 10 parking space, and they have provided 10 parking space with one ADA. And also, I have also worked out with them that in case there was some parking configuration, because it's his outlet for car, he'll be able to manage, keep the cars out where he needs to park, so to make sure the customers have adequate parking, that it meet our standard.
Any other questions at this time, council? Any concerns? I personally think that based on the answers that I would like to see this happen. I think it's a good thing for economic development as well as, the entrepreneurs of our community that want to succeed. So I personally would like to see that go through. Yeah, bringing businesses to the historical district is what the Vice Mayor just said. It's a great idea. So anyways, I would certainly approve a motion if someone would like to make it.
Yes, move to approve?
Have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any further discussion on the item? Kazi, did you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, would it be okay with the council if that ADOT access way, can we work with him while he's proceeding that, some flexibility out there?
Yeah, would you add that to your motion, Councilwoman Gussie? And would you support that? Okay, perfect. We have a motion as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
10.9. This is a resolution of the Mayor and Council declaring as a public record those certain documents filed within the city clerk and entitled Article 8-11 after-hour establishments, Article 8-12 tea dance halls, and Article 8-13 magic arts establishments of the Maricopa City Code. So we've had a few presentations on this. Micah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What you have before you are three related items. As Mayor referenced, they have been brought before you in the past. This is just the formalization of the 60-day cure period for the notice of license fees. So happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Councilwoman Gussie. Have a motion to approve. Is there a second? And a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
That'll take us to the related ordinance. Bear with me. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council, the City of Maricopa, Arizona, adopting Article 8-11 after-hour establishments, Article 8-12 teen dance halls, and Article 8-13 magic arts establishments by reference as Articles 8-11, 8-12, and 8-13 of Chapter 8 of the Maricopa City Code, and providing for the severability and the effective date thereof. This is an ordinance relating to the previous resolution. Is there any further discussion on this item? If not, I'd welcome a motion to approve, please.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, can we move to a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Gussie? Yes. Councilmember Frank? Yes. Councilmember Chapados?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Mayor Price?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. That takes us to item 10.11, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council authorizing the imposition and collection of fees for licensing after-hours establishments, teen dance halls, and magic arts establishments. Any further discussion on this item? If not, can we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And that takes us to our last item of the evening, item 10.12. This is a presentation regarding fiscal year 2014-15 first quarter general fund at Copper Sky Special Revenue Fund revenues and expenditures. This is for discussion only. Brian.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Before you, I have a presentation of the quarter revenue and expenditures of the general fund for fiscal year 14-15. So it's July 1 through September 30th. Kind of be a brief overview, kind of high level of how the city has fared and Copper Sky has fared for the first quarter. So for the general fund, you see I show here the revenues, the budget for the fiscal year 14-15. We have about $30.6 million. For the first quarter, the city has collected about $5.8 million, so about 19.1% of the total revenue for the year has been collected. With that, expenditures, we have a budget of roughly $31 million, and the city has spent about just over $5.7 million, so about 18.6%. So our revenues and our expenditures are kind of right in line right now. We are a little under of collecting, but also with our expenditures being about the same percentage, we're about right in line. Give you a little more detail of the general fund revenues. The primary property tax, give you an overview of what the city's majority of the revenues revenue sources come from. Primary property tax, we do have $9.8 million budgeted. For the first quarter, it does show only $100,000, but that is because our property tax payment, it comes twice a year, and we'll usually get that around the end of November. So it'll show up in the second quarter of our payment, and that's roughly about $1.5 to $2 million. Local sales tax, we've collected about 32% of that, so 6.9%, almost $7 million of budget. We have about $2.3 million that we've collected. State income tax, state sales tax, and the vehicle license tax, that is all considered state shared revenues. Those are coming in right around 25%, 20 to 25%, so right in line for the state distribution of the sales tax, or the state shared revenues. And then everything else, all the license permits that the development services, public works, fire, police bring in, all the other is about 2.5, and we're roughly about 30% collecting on that, about 792,000. So we're in about 19% of what we should be, what we have budgeted to collect, but our expenditures, which is next, I'll show, is by department. The general fund expenditures, we're about 18.6% going down the line of fire, police, community services. Everyone is about in line of what they thought they would be spending for the first quarter. There's a few, some of them have spent a little bit more, and that's due because of some of the one-time professional services or the one-time expenses hit in the beginning of the year. So with that, we have about 31 million in budgeted. We have about 5.7. The non-departmental that you see on the fifth line down, that does include contingency expenditures that have been transferred out to the other departments. And speaking of contingency, as council adopted a $1 million contingency account, this just gives you an overview of what has been transferred out of contingency for the year so far, of what has been council approved. And the remaining amount as of a few days ago is about $587,000 in contingency for unforeseen one-time expenditures. With Copper Sky Special Revenue Fund, revenues we've budgeted about $4.45 million, and then expenditures about $4.44 million. We've collected so far about 7.3%, so about $326,000 of revenue. And then expenditures were about 16.5%, about $733,000 in expenditures. One of the things that for the revenues we do have budgeted is the $1.25 million transfer from the general fund. That is not reflected in here yet. We can do that as we need moving forward. And then also we are in waiting for the contribution from Occhen. So once those two one-time revenues get posted, then you will see a significant increase in the percentage of revenues collected. With that brief presentation, I'll take any questions that Mayor, Council have.
Any questions, council, on this? I know you've been following it fairly closely, so appreciate the over-under of the ongoing revenue stream and where the departments are. I appreciate that. So if no other questions, can we have a motion to adjourn to E-session, please? Have a motion? Is there a second? Thank you. All right. We are energetic about going to more E-session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much for attending this evening. We appreciate it, and we'll see you on the 24th.